Hello, guys. The idea today is to complement the project management process class. We discuss the main topics about the Scrum, and the idea at the end of this class is that you have a condition. Has the main aim is to have condition at the end of this class to organize a process using Scrum, using the Scrum process to work and to develop a software project and other projects. Okay. To start, we represent this main picture. This main picture is a very simple, but it represents all the steps and all the artifacts, all the ceremonies that you have in the Scrum. The first one is about the planning meeting. Remember then, before we start the Scrum process, you need to meet with the product owner, okay, the guy that's responsible for requirements, and maybe with the direct clients to identify what the system needs to do. Different than the traditional process, in the Scrum, we don't spend a large time to define the requirements because we understand that these requirements change in the time. Okay, we understand that the client does not know the requirements, what he wants in the beginning of the project. It's a learning process. When you see what you're doing, the artifacts that you developed, he start to have a better idea about the final results that he desired. So it's the reason that you don't spend, for example, 2, 3, 4 months to define requirements. It's a very short time to identify the main ideas about what the user wants. It's what the summarization of this process is a list of requirements, a very basic requirements that the name is user store. A user store is a very simple sentence where you define what the user who wants, what this guy wants, and why he wants. Okay, it's the main idea of the user store. The user store describes, again, you have the user store to define requirements, and the user store is who wants plus what they want and why. It's the basic infrastructure, is the basic structure of a user store. And you have another one that maybe you can have in this time in the beginning, or you need to improve in the future. Is, give me a second, is an additional, I will change the color because sometimes you don't have it. No, I lost everything. Okay, I type again. User store is equal who plus what plus y. And sometimes you can have in the beginning these more things plus the acceptance criteria. What is acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria is how do you prove that you acquire the user store? How you prove that you acquire the user store? Okay, it's an acceptance. Oops, it's not good. It is what is an acceptance criteria. Okay, In the beginning, sometimes you don't have exactly how you check that the user story is accomplished, but you need to improve it later. But this list of user story represent requirements. You don't have a lot of details like the main flow, alternative flow. It's not the time to do it. Okay. And this user store, the list of the user store that you develop, you save in the product backlog. The product backlog is a list of user store. Okay. User store 1, user store 2, user store 3, and so on. During the planning meeting, you get this backlog, the product backlog. And with your PO, or sometimes with the client, the final client, you define the sprint goal. What is the sprint goal? The sprint goal is the main focus of the sprint. Okay, it's what is the focus that you need to develop during one amount of time that the name is sprint. Okay, the sprint goal is like, for example, I want that the users at the end of the sprint can, for example, authenticate the system. Okay, and sometime this sprint goal, to accomplish this sprint goal, you need to finalize, for example, 1 or 2 or 3 user store. Okay, and what you need to do during the planning meeting, you need to get the user store related to the sprint goal and transform this user store and tasks. Okay, a list of tasks. Okay, to do this user store, list of tasks. Okay, to finalize, to acquire this user store. Sorry, to acquire this sprint goal, I need to finalize the 2 user store, and this 3 store, I need to have this task list of tasks. For example, user store 1, I need to define, clarify the user, if the user better the requirements. The second task, you can implement the class. You can need task 3, you need to test the class. In task 4, you need to document the test and other tasks that you need to develop to finalize the user store. It's what is the sprint backlog. The sprint backlog represents the amount of tasks or the amount of work that you need to develop during the sprint. Okay, what is a sprint? A sprint is an amount of time that you receive requirements and developing work incremental of software or work software. What means work software? Work software means that the software is done, tested, documented. Okay, the code is complete, it's done, the code is tested, and the code is documented. Okay, it is what is work software. Okay, a sprint is the amount of time that you need to implement all of requirements, all of tasks that is defined in the sprint backlog and produce our software, not a paper, but a software. Okay, it is what is the work software. So the planning meeting is the meeting that you define the sprint goal, get the sprint, the user store that is required to finalize this, to acquire this sprint goal in the product backlog, transform this user store in the list of tasks, and create the sprint backlog. That is the list of tasks that you need to develop in a sprint and produce our software. Okay. It is what you do in the first step in the sprint process. The next step, with the sprint backlog, you start working during a sprint. A sprint can be usually, it can be 30 days, sometimes 15 days, 1 week, It don't matter. It's an amount of time, but important thing, it's never changing the time. If you start the project with a sprint with 15 days, it's 15 days during all the sprints. In the retro project, the sprint will be 1 week, okay? So the daily meeting is a meeting that you need to perform every day to verify the improvement of the system that you develop. Okay, it's not a meeting to the manager because you don't have hands. You have a Scrum Master. You talk about the Scrum Master position rule in a little ahead. It's not a meeting to the manager. It's a meeting to the team. But why? Because of the team. Because you need to answer 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What you do today? And what are there any impediments, or which impediment do you have? Okay, it's important to the team because if you one guy of the team needs that you finalize your work to start to work, this guy can understand the situation and planning, maybe change the task or things like that. Another thing that is important, maybe, for example, user A, developer A needs a result of developer 2, and developer 2 said, oh, I'm a little late. And developer 1, because the developer A or developer 1 didn't finalize your work. And it's important that everybody understand, because developer 1 needs to know that the developer 2 wait for your results and say, oh, I have a very, very big problem. I need more time to finalize. Okay, it's the reason that this meeting is so important. This meeting happens every day in the same time. If the people is stand. Why stand? Because it's not the time to talk about other things. It's a very fat meeting. For example, to 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the number of the members, the team members. The 5 to 15 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, this meeting needs to finalize. Okay. You perform the daily meeting every day, until the end of the sprint. At the end of the sprint, you need to have work software. Remember, work software is done, tested, and documented. Okay. So what you show during this sprint, this is the sprint review. The sprint review is a meeting where you have the members, okay, the team member, the Scrum Master, the PO, and the visitors. Which visitors? The clients. Okay, it's an open meeting, and anyone can participate and can contribute, make comments. Comments about what? About the demo of the software that developed. No PowerPoint, okay? It's not required. It's not a good idea to have PowerPoint. So if you have PowerPoint, it's because it's very, very, very important. But remember, the client needs to see features, need to see scenarios, need to see your user story accomplished. And it's the time that the PO, maybe support for the clients or for the audience, say, okay, the sprint, the product is approved or not approved, and why it's not approved, or it's approved but you need to fix it. Okay, it's the time. Okay, this meeting can have, for example, 30 to 40 minutes, no more than 1 hour, but it's a demo. You demonstrate the feature that you created. It's a very important meeting. Another important meeting is the retrospective. The retrospective is the meeting that will show the problems and the successes. Okay, after the sprint review, where the user, the clients, and the PO said, okay, you have a problem here, you have a problem there. You have another meeting, the retrospective meeting. The retrospective meeting, you have all the team members participate and the PO participate. Remember, the PO is part of the team, is not part of the client. Okay, it represents inside the team the desires of the client. So in this meeting, the main reason of the main goal of this meeting is to analyze the problems and celebrate the successes. Okay. What you need to define first, what should we keep doing? Okay, you define a list of things that you need to do in, for example, the last meeting. Okay, I need to improve this control, I need to do it, blah, 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 A, B, C, okay? And you analyze again what you need to should keep doing. Another thing is, what should we stop doing? For example, or you have one guy that that does not go for a lot of meetings, daily meetings, for example. We need to stop it. For example, Fred, we need to stop to do it, missing the daily meeting. Okay. And what should we start to do? Okay, for example, you have you discover that most of the student, most of the professional, the developer has a problem if one library, okay, or does not test the code correctly. Because you don't use, for example, some support tools that automate check a lot of behaviors of the code. Okay, and you define, okay, before you send the code to the Git, for example, and you need to use this library inside the test. Okay, it's a thing that you need to start with. The retrospective is a very important meeting. It's very important that the Scrum Master works before to prepare this meeting, because sometimes you have people that you receive a lot of requests about your job. And remember, the comments inside this retrospective is not to a people, it's to a team. Okay, the focus is not the people, the focus is the team. If you have some comments about one person, it's because the team needs to improve the results. Okay, it's very important to Scrum Master prepare the, for example, you have a very big problem with one guy, prepare this guy to receive some clicks about your job work, and prepare the team to be polite, because it's sometimes you have a lot of stress. Oops, sorry. It is the summarization of the sprint process. Now we start to describe one by one the process. The first one is SCRUM sprint. It's the set of period time during which specific work has to be completed and made ready for review. Okay, it's the amount of time. It's, for example, it can be in 1 week, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks. Okay, but has a constant duration. Okay, it's important to design to measure the results. Okay, remember that during this time, the product is designed, coded, and tested, and documented during the sprint. Coding rules. No changes are made that you use endanger the sprint goal. No change. Okay. If you define a sprint goal in the beginning, the plan meeting, you cannot change. Quality does not decrease. The quality does not decrease means that you need to test the code. You cannot create class code does not test. Okay, you need to test. But I don't have time. Okay, it's your problem. You need to test. It's better to don't finalize the test, okay, than to finalize the test, the task without test. The product backlog is defined as needed. During the planning meeting is a good time to refine the backlog, okay, because you have contact with the PO directly, and the PO can clarify to you what is better, what means better the requirement. The rules. The first one is the product owner. The product owner defines the features of the product. Okay, it's the PO that defines the feature of the product. Decide on release date and the content. But more important, be responsible for the profitability of the product, the ROI, and prioritize the features according to market value. The PO is a person in the team, okay, it's part of the team that's responsible for the user or the client desire or the client's interest inside the project. Okay. Another one is the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is responsible for represent the manager to the project, responsible for enacting Scrum values and practice, removes impediments, ensure the team is fully functional and productive, enable close cooperation across all rules and function, ensure the team stands difference. If you see this definition, the Scrum Master is like a project manager, okay, the traditional PM. However, the Scrum Master is not a boss. He does not have the authority. What makes his work more difficult? Because he needs to work with the team uh, to help the team, convince the team that you need to change the approach that he used. Okay, because he don't have the authority, he cannot say, "Go, hi, do it." No, he needs to convince the guy that he needs to do it. It's not an easy task. Okay, it's very hard task. This team typically has 5 to 9 people. It's cross-functional. You have programmer, tester, user experience design, database, administrator, and others. Members should be full-time, but there are exceptions. For example, database administrator is a very, very, very expensive resource. It's a good idea to this guy be shared with a lot of different teams. Teams are self-organized. You don't have a boss. For example, when define what you define what you do, not the one guy define what you do for you, like in the traditional project. Membership should change only between schools. Okay. If you start one project, one team, okay, and you cannot change. Another thing that you can have is in one sprint, user A is the Scrum Master. In the sprint 2, user B is the Scrum Master. In the sprint 3, user C is the Scrum Master. You can change. You can replace the Scrum Master all the time, but after the sprint, not during the sprint. This picture is a good picture that represents the Scrum. The conversation is like, "Hey pig, what's this thinking? We should open a restaurant." And the pig said, "I don't know what you call it." Okay, what you call it? What happened in my computer? I don't know. Okay, I think it's right. Okay, and the chicken said, "How about hand tax?" And the pig answered, "No thanks. I'd be committed, but you are only involved." What it means that the pig needs to cut your body to produce the meat, okay, the food, and the chicken only produce eggs. Okay, the chicken is involved, but the pig needs to cut your body, cut yourself. And in the Scrum, the team needs to cut yourself. The team works for the member works for the results of the team. Okay, it's not your work. If you do your work very well, produce the nice things, but your friend cannot do, the team fail during the sprint review. Some artifacts. The first one is the product backlog. Okay, the product backlog, as I said, is the list of our desired work, is the list of requirements. Okay, different than traditional work is not a very detailed requirement, it's a very simplistic requirement. As I said, I use the store. Remember who, what, and why you need to do some features. Okay. Remember too that you have, for example, non-functional requirements like a security, interoperability, and others. You need to describe these things in an acceptance criteria. Sprint backlog. Again, you have the list of requirements during the planning meeting. You need to get you define a sprint goal. With this sprint goal, you go to the sprint backlog, the product backlog, see which user story you need to accomplish to accomplish the sprint goal. And you need to analyze the user store and define which task you need to do to perform to accomplish the user store. Okay, the sprint backlog is a list of tasks, not a list of user store. The list of user store is in the sprint, in the planning backlog, in the product backlog. So during this phase, in the sprint planning meeting, you have the first thing you need to define the sprint prioritization. Okay, you analyze and evaluate the product backlog and select sprint goal. And the output of this task is the sprint goal. The second task inside the planning meeting is the sprint planning. You decide how to apply the sprint goal, design, create the sprint backlog test from the product backlog items, user story and features. Estimate the sprint backlog in hours. Or you see in the future in the story part. Example. As a vacation planner, I want to see photos of the hotels. Okay, in this sentence, you have what, but you didn't. We have a who, a vacation planner. What, see photos of the hotels, but I miss the why. Okay, but it is the user store, and you need to transfer this user store in a list of tasks. Code the video tire, code the user interface, write the test features, code the full plex, update the performance test. Okay. Already said. Okay. An important thing is the story points. The story points is important because sometimes it's very hard to define the task in the hours because, for example, things are very senior developer. What his guy can do in 2 or 3 hours is one thing. What in the same time amount of time junior programmer can do is another thing. To avoid the situation, you use story points. Okay, and the story points you can use a range, normal range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 to define the complex. But you can use a different one, like a Fibonacci series. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. Okay. Why is important? Because, for example, to measure the difference between 1 to 2 is very hard. 2 to 3, how more difficult is the test that you have 3 or to have 10 to the 9? And if you use Fibonacci, you completely different. For example, in the first one is no, the second one is no, the third one is no. But after each 3 to 5 is you can see the difference. 5 is more difficult than 3. 5 to 8, 8. Sorry, it's much more difficult than the 5 than the 3. The unit of the story points, a good approach is one story point corresponds approximately to one idea man day. For example, more or less 8-hour words. Okay. You have the planning meeting, you have the daily SCRUM meeting. As I said, it's a daily 50 minutes and standard. No for problem solving. Okay. Whole world is invited, only team members can talk. Okay. Helps avoid other unnecessary meetings. During the daily meeting, you need to, what do you do yesterday? What you do today? Is anything in your way? Okay, it's the 3 questions that you need to do. It's not a starter for the Scrum Master, but it's a starter for the P. I will show this video where I want, oops, sorry. I share the video that I want to, that you can see one example of the image. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Ryoko. We're just getting started. I have you on speakerphone. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Ryoko.
Hi, Ryoko.
Hi, Ryoko.
Okay, who wants to start?
I don't like talking in public, or at all, really.
Harold, please, the floor is yours.
Yesterday, I finished the source code for the recipe request voice interface, and I ran the unit test, so that's done. But these stand-ups are okay. You only have to answer 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what is your main impediment? Today, I am working on passing the request parameters to the recipe search code. It's structured. It's fast. It's painless. My main impediment is still my lack of knowledge of the speech recognition engine. Ryoko is our expert, and she's been a wonderful help, but with the time difference, it's just challenging.
Okay, that's very good, Harold. But we need to resolve that. Ryoko?
Hi.
Can you send me your schedule? I will look into getting travel approval.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thanks, Ryoko. Why don't you go next?
Okay, sure. Today I reviewed...
The daily stand-up is one of the team's most important rituals. In just 15 minutes, we see what everyone is up to. We update the iteration wall and see opportunities to help others remove blockers.
I said, you know, Bill in infrastructure. I said, Bill, it's not 1985 anymore.
Okay, guys, if you see, you can identify the Scrum Master is the guy with here, and you can identify that people need to be engaged in the meeting. For example, Yoko is not in Japan. Japan is sleeping because the fears, the difference of the time. But you need to, because she's not finalized, the guy has a problem to finalize your work. But again, it's very important meeting every. You have other ceremonies. The other one is the sprint review. As I said, is the team presents what is accomplished during the sprint. Typically takes the form of demo of new features and stand architecture. Informal is 2-hour prepare time through and no slide. Why this 2-hour prepare time? It's because in the Scrum Master need to invite the people to this meeting and prepare the team. You present a demo. You need to train, okay? Another one is sprint retrospective, we're looking at what is and is not working. It's 15 to 30 minutes done after every sprint. Whole team participates. Scrum Master, PO, team, and possible customer others. If you have problem, if there's like, for example, you don't have support, another thing. Again, it's the time to discuss about this. Start doing, stop doing, continue doing. For example, celebrate technical service. There is a lot of examples that things that you need to define. It's like a Scrum. You use a couple for to. My gosh. You use Kanban for to dashboard to define the things that you need to do. It's very important. Some tips: plan ahead. The Scrum Master needs to plan ahead. Send an email for everybody asking what you want to discuss in this meeting. Get people engaged early. It's very important. It's not a boring test. No, it's a very important test like to work. The people need to, for example, and if you have a problem with the user A, you need to prepare the user A for the meeting and prepare the team for the meeting. Create a space. A lot of Scrum Master prepare some dynamics, meals, sometimes Uber eats food for the people prepare, make a games to take the environment very large. Track your action items. It's very important. If you define a task, you need to, the first thing you need to revisit the task and see what you need to stop to doing or what you, for example. Start with the previous actions, okay, and have fun. here you have a big example of the big picture of all the process. Okay. First question.
Hi, I'm Ravi, the Chief Functional Architect of Application Lifecycle Management. We are now at the HP Software R&D site where we develop our products. In this short movie, I would like to share with you our agile methodology as part of our development process for quality-centered products. Today, it's actually a very good opportunity to do it as we are starting a new iteration planning process.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning. What's up?
Good, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Did you have a chance to review the backlog item for the meeting?
I think we need to do some adjustments.
Okay, why is that?
There is the upgrade verification, which I think we need to push to this sprint and not later on.
And do you really think that that's a critical item, that we need to give it a higher priority than what we have right now?
That's one of the most important things for our customers. It will become riskier later on.
Did you have a chance already to discuss it with the rest of the team?
Not yet.
Okay, so let's go to the meeting. I think we are already running late. So I guess adding this one will require some customer validation. Do you really think that we can afford it at this point?
I think it's critical. We can talk to the QA cost team to see if they can help us.
Okay, so let's start to discuss it as part of this meeting and we'll see what are the right adjustments that we should make. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, David. Good morning, Noi. Let's start with the sprint planning. You can see on the screen the current backlog of the sprint. Lior, can you say something about our quality?
Sure. Like we all said in the retrospective, the quality is not good enough. So we definitely need to invest more time in our estimates to reflect more testing.
And about current backlog list, do you all agree about the content?
Actually, there is one item from future sprints that I think we should move to this sprint about the upgrade verification. I think we should do it in this sprint as it will become much more riskier in future sprints rather than do it now.
But no, an item that involves upgrade will require a lot of development effort and is very risky. And as we already have too many items for this iteration, I don't see how we can do that.
I agree, but I think we can look at the backlog items and see what we can push on to the next sprints that has low priority.
Rev, you know very well the content. Can you suggest something to remove?
Yes, application installer is on a lower priority, so I think we can push it ahead to the next sprint if you all agree on that.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Yeah. Okay, I will update the backlog.
Leo, just one more question. Do you really think we will have our customers available for validation within this sprint?
Actually, we have a great opportunity because some of them are visiting us during the next sprint. So we can leverage them to help us with the testing.
Okay, makes sense.
So I think we all agree. Thank you very much.
Let's go.
Let's go for a walk.
Okay, so I started testing the edit schema XML yesterday, and it passed. So I'm gonna move it to done, and today I'm gonna take this defect and start testing it.
Okay.
I'm currently working on repository mechanism, and I hope it will be finished today for QA testing.
Well, I started working on the upgrade, but I'm afraid it's going to take much more time than we thought because it's a very risky area and every code change requires a lot of testing.
Is there any assistance you can get in order to proceed quickly?
Setting the environment for testing the upgrade is taking a lot of time, so that can be a great help.
So tomorrow I have a status meeting. I will raise this issue and see if we can get any assistance.
Okay.
I will update afterward.
All right, let me know if you need any help. Till then.
Great.
Okay.
So as you can see on the board, the burn down shows there is a gap between the plan and the progress. Beside this gap, there is a problem of content that is yet not reflected in our backlog. Together, we can see here a problem and a risk on our delivery date of the project.
So we need to do the right adjustment in order to meet the timeline, but we need to make sure that the upgrade validation process that we've agreed on at the beginning of the iteration will happen as part of this sprint.
Well, is there any option QA will assist in order to shorten the development time around this area?
I guess that we can assist with deploying whatever environment needed in order to get the cycle ready, get the cycle running as soon as possible.
At least at my end, I think that it will be quite helpful if we can deliver for you guys some unofficial piece of code and to get feedback. And that will be helpful as well.
Yeah, sure. We'll be more than happy to start performance testing on an unofficial build. It will enable us to give a faster response and will not be surprised.
That will be great. Faster response will also enable dev to fix issues earlier and with lower cost. Let's follow up on this and see the progress, and hopefully we get closer to the plan and solve this gap problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. As you can see, we pay a lot of attention to our planning process. The fact that we use Quality Center in order to manage and track the iteration help us to make sure that all the relevant stakeholders will be synced along the process. Eventually, that helps us to ensure that we deliver the right content on the right time to our customers. Now you will need to excuse me, there's another sprint that needs to start.
Okay, guys, this last video show the complete process. I believe it's a good time to understand the planning, how the daily meeting and integrate with the planning, how the problems is solved. It's a very simplest process, the SCRUM, however, very, very powerful process, okay? So, it's all that I want to show this short video. Thank you very much for your attention and see you soon.